There's like a touch of barrel funk on this that's kind of pleasurable. Honestly, it just tastes, oh man, there's that black. Don't put that in the video. I bought every single bottle of red Bordeaux wine I could find at my local Trader Joe's here in Austin, Texas. Took them home, then blind tasted them all in order to find out if the most expensive bottle was actually the best. By the way, I'm Dustin McQuaid. I'm a certified sommelier, and I'm here to help everyday people discover the profound pleasure of great wine by giving practical, mostly non-pretentious wine buying advice, all while having some fun in the process. At the end of my shopping spree today, I ended up with 12 bottles ranging in price from $7 on the low end all the way up to $69. Seeing all of these bottles made me realize that I had so many more questions than just, is the most expensive one best? And perhaps the question burning most intensely for me is, how will Trader Joe's own house brand of wine, the 2022 Platinum Reserve, hold up against the others? At only $15, I'm just so curious if these Platinum Reserve wines are an amazing deal worthy of the Trader Joe's name, or if they are just an insult to it. Fortunately, we won't have to wait long for answers, because I promise by the end of this video, you will know exactly which bottles of red Bordeaux wine at Trader Joe's are worth your hard-earned money. And you will learn enough about Bordeaux to be a little dangerous. A little Bordeaux dangerous. You'll be Anthony Bourdangerous. Before we find out how Trader Joe's own Platinum Reserve Bordeaux holds up against those more expensive bottles, let's first talk a little bit about Bordeaux in general, just to clear up some common points of confusion and to get us all on the same page for the tasting. The first point of confusion is simply, what is Bordeaux? People typically know it's a place, but is it also a type of grape? If not, then what grapes are in it? What compounds this confusion is that if you look for answers on a bottle of Bordeaux wine, the vast majority of the labels won't have any information that will directly answer your questions. In fact, of the 12 bottles of Bordeaux wine that I purchased today, not a single one of them mentioned a grape variety on their label. So let's clear this up, since the vintners in France clearly aren't going to help you. First, Bordeaux is a place. It's a legendary wine growing region in the southwest of France. It is not a grape variety. But in Bordeaux, only 6 types of grapes are permitted by law to be grown and used for wine. So Bordeaux is not a type of grape, it is a blend of 6 different grapes. Those 6 grapes are Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Malbec, Petit Verdot, and Carmenère. At the end of the day, the key takeaway is that Bordeaux means a red wine that is either primarily Cabernet Sauvignon or primarily Merlot. Now, we truly are ready to find out how Trader Joe's Platinum Reserve brand stacks up against the others. All right, let's get to work. All right, let's kick things off with a bang by tasting the most expensive wines first. Right out of the gate, we have the $69 2020 Chateau Haut-Batailley. It is from the left bank, so it is primarily Cabernet Sauvignon, and it is one of only 3 wines in the lineup designated Grand Cru Class A, which, by the way, is a legal certification of quality from the French government. Pleasant. This wine it's pretty good. It has some tension in it. I think it would benefit from a bit of air. The nose is lightly pleasant. It's not inviting me to continue to, write a sonnet about it as I look listfully into a sunset or anything. It's got a little something something. And I think with some air, some of the flawed characteristics in it would subside. Oh boy, it's hard to call it a B. It really is. So I feel as though this is a C+, and I would expect to pay about $10 to $15 for a wine of this quality. Oh yikes, that was rough. Let's see if the next wine, which is our second Grand Cru Class A, can do any better. It is also from the left bank of Bordeaux, so it is primarily Cabernet as well. It's the $59 Chateau Giscours. There's like a touch of barrel funk on this that's kind of pleasurable. Honestly, it just tastes, oh man, there's that black. Don't put that in the video. I'm a pacifist. What have I done? He didn't deserve it. Why couldn't we coexist? Anyway, back to barrel funk. Yeah, there's a touch of barrel funk on this. Interesting. It smells like you're inside of a wine cave, which if you haven't been in one, it's really nice. It's got like, you don't want to live in it or anything, but when you walk in, you're kind of like, oh, this is interesting. I like it. Let's see. It kind of tastes a little bit like barrel funk. It tastes a little bit like you're inside the wine cellar and you've decided to lick the walls. Attest that that's pleasurable. Most wine cellars are worth licking the walls. I mean, just the barrel funk alone and the fact that the flaws that are present are managed okay. I think from a consumer advice standpoint, because I care about you, this is a C. I just don't think a lot of people are going to find this to be very interesting. If you are super, super into wine, you know, like me, and you kind of just enjoy licking, you know, the walls like a wine cellar, just let me know in the comments. So that way we can all... My wife's calling. At the very end of it, this is a C wine. Despite the barrel funk, despite how interesting it would be to lick the inside of a wine cellar, I just don't think most people are looking for that sort of thing. And so I really think for a wine of this quality, you shouldn't pay more than about 10 bucks. Holy Christ, things are not looking good for the Grand Cru Classés. Let's see if the final one can redeem the storied Grand Cru Classé name. This wine is another left bank Cabernet. It is the $42 Chateau Croizet-Bages. See what we're dealing with here. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, okay, this smells magnificent. It is incredibly rich. It's just very pleasant to smell. Like you just wanna, it's inviting you to continue to smell it. It's supple, it's elegant. Oh yeah. And that's what it smells like. Let's see what it tastes like. That's pretty great. At this moment, this wine needs air. I've mentioned that some of these other wines, at a smell, it's unsure whether it's exhibiting some sort of tension or flaw. This wine is exhibiting tension. Instead of it tasting like acetone, it's tasting like alcohol that's simply blossoming. It's kind of like radiating out of it. It's almost like once air gets in it, all of those tense flavors are just going to open up. This is an example of something that probably needs a couple hours to open in an ideal world before you drink it. This is quacktastic. I really enjoy this. This is a B+. I would expect to pay around $25 to $35 for a bottle of wine like this, but ultimately I really enjoy it, and I think you would too. All right, that was pretty good. We have a new leader now, which is awesome. Now let's check out something very out of the ordinary. It is a Merlot-driven blend from the left bank of Bordeaux. This is so strange that I had to look it up just to verify I wasn't misreading something. This is the $32 Chateau Ormes de Pez. Literally not. Like, it doesn't even smell like anything. Yeah, there's nothing on the nose of this wine. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, it's a big part of the taste experience. So this really have to wow me on the palate. It does not wow me. This just honestly sucks. I can't go to an F for this. Like, this would be totally fine. It was the only red wine, you know, available for free at the wedding that you're at. And it's one of those beer and wine only weddings that are the bane of everybody's existence. And so if you had to suffer through this, you'd be fine. But boy, it just has the predominant experience is how lacking it is. It just kind of tastes like red wine with a bunch of flawed acetone harshness. So it just tastes cheap. I give it a D. Don't ever pay for this with your own money. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you had to drink this at like a wedding. Oh, yikes. That was abysmal. That is a profound amount of money to spend for a bad wine. Let's see if any of the cheaper wines can fare better or if we've already peaked. The next one is another left bank Cabernet. It's the $26 Chateau Tayac. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Very pleasant. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. It actually smells like red fruit, and there's already some like graphite kind of pencil shavings type of thing. That sounds weird, but I promise you, it's very pleasant. It's like a desirable pencil shavings kind of thing. Let's see how it tastes. Yeah, that's really good. It needs a little bit of time to open up, but boy, it has fruit. It has secondary notes that are, this is a very flinty, metallic wine, but the fruit is just really supple. And you know, it's not one of these wines that's like very deeply heavy. Honestly, there's a little bit of brightness to it. It's very, very enjoyable. I think with a little bit of time and some more air, this is gonna be like an absolute stunner. I think this is an A- for sure. This is a very, very good wine. I would expect to pay about $35 to $50 for a wine of this quality. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we haven't peaked after all. This for sure just got interesting. Let's see if an even cheaper wine can beat these $60 and $70 bottles. Next up is another left bank Cabernet. This one is the $19 Baron Des Fontenilles. Okay, a little subtle, but something. I don't know, this kind of reminds me of like those memes about LaCroix where it's like somebody yelled the name of the fruit that it's supposed to be flavored of from the other room. You know, they're like, blueberry. This vaguely smells like wine, but it's like someone's literally yelling it from the other room. It's subtle. It's not unpleasant, but it's just, there's not much to it. This is fine. Honestly, it's those flawed, flaws are present. It seems to be the theme of the tasting so far. But it's not so bad. I mean, boy, just full stop. This is a C. There's just nothing interesting truly about it. It's not so bad that you should absolutely avoid it, but it's just kind of like red wine. It's pretty middle of the road. I think there's a category, like this is a market for a lot of people, right? Like they're really excited about these wines that just kind of taste like red wine. Somehow that is its own flavor, but it's distinctly different than what fine Bordeaux and Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa Valley. There's just this like red wine taste. This has that. C, I would expect to pay no more than $10 a bottle for a wine of this quality. Okay, not the best work from Baron Des Fontenilles. Let's see if the next wine in our lineup can fare any better. It is our final left bank Cabernet. It's the $18 La Roche D'Argent. Okay, honestly, this has a ton of like funk on it. It's not cork rot funk. I wouldn't say it's like a pleasing note. It's a little bit of metallic graphite sort of deal. I know, I'm trying not to be pretentious here. It's just what it smells like. Let's see what it tastes like here. Let's give it a whole thing. That isn't very good. It just tastes so cheap. I mean, it just tastes... Yikes. Okay. Let me recant a little bit here. Let me get more clear. This is ultimately not a very enjoyable wine. At the very bottom, just feels flawed. It has nothing interesting or exciting about it. Like, it's not horrible. Like, it's not an F. The only circumstance where you should drink this is if you getting it for free at a wedding, right? Like, it's the red wine on offer. So I'm gonna give this a D. That's a swing and a miss. Big time from La Roche D'Argent. Are we doomed to nothing but poor wines from here on out? Are our best days behind us? Let's find out with our first right bank Merlot. It's the $16 Tertre du Moulin. Okay, on the nose, this is to me like very classically left bank. You know, we'll see if that plays out, but it is just so minerally. It feels like you're smelling rocks and flint. Let's see how it ends up on the taste, on the palate, on the taste. This is a perfect example of a classic left bank Cabernet Sauvignon driven wine. Now, I don't know what it is, you know, but it would shock the hell out of me if this wasn't a left bank wine. It's not a banger. You know, this is for sure, an acquired taste. It's very minerally. There's not much fruit presence, but it's not very flawed. I know that's not very encouraging. There's a little bit of an acetone finish that isn't very pleasurable, but ultimately, those mineral notes are pleasurable if you're seeking that sort of thing, which I do enjoy. Ultimately, this to me tastes like a cheaper wine. I'd rate this a C+. I would expect to pay no more than $10 to $15 for a bottle of this quality. That was all right. I feel like we need something to really shake things up. Help us get a W on the board. Luckily, we have the legend up next. It's another right bank Merlot. It's the $15 Trader Joe's Platinum Reserve. Okay, there's a little bit of something interesting on this. We're keeping with a theme around barrel funk. We'll see how I actually edit this and in what order these are, so that sentence might make no sense. But ultimately, yeah, there's a little bit of funk on it, but it's pleasurable funk. It's not screaming at me that it's super interesting. It's not inviting me, though, to keep smelling it. Like, I'm like, oh, it's interesting. And then you have a smell and you're like, oh, I'm good. So not really a quality you're looking for in fine wine. Okay, I'm just going to give you my gut immediate. It's a C+. That's a C+. It's a perfect C+, as if there could be such a thing. Oh no, camera temperature is rising. Okay, so it's a perfect C+. The reason why is that the flaws are all managed properly, but there's some good presence of fruit. It's just drinkable. Like, it's the sort of thing that you would probably do well to bring to a family dinner. I think people would, by and large, probably like this okay. I think it probably needs a little bit of air. It's a C+. It's okay. I would expect for a wine of this quality to pay, about 10 to 15 bucks. You know that saying, never meet your heroes? Yeah, I just kind of hoped for more from TJ's, but alas, they're doing okay. Up next is a wine not just from the left bank or the right bank, it is from grapes all over Bordeaux. These final wines don't have any specific appellations listed. They just say that they're from Bordeaux. That typically means they buy discount grapes from all over Bordeaux to make a wine. Let's see how the $12 Chateau de Seguin holds up. What's that? Hello? Yeah? Hey there, what's this little guy? What are you doing there, buddy? Want to like and subscribe? What, you just want people to like and subscribe? Yeah, I just want people to like, subscribe. Oh, that's really sweet of you to care so much. Well, I know it really helps the channel and everything, and you can imagine buying all these wines isn't cheap, so just clicking that like button, clicking subscribe, it makes a big difference, right? Yeah. Do you hear that? What's that? That's everybody clicking like. Yeah. Yeah. And they're also, what are they doing? They're clicking subscribe too. Yeah, they're clicking subscribe. Oh yeah, buddy. Oh, you're so happy now. Yeah, they clicked subscribe. Yeah, that's I'm pretty jazzed about it too. So thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. It really means so much more than you know. Thank you. Back to boozing. There's like a faint hint of something interesting. Like it just reminds me of almost like a fern. It's got small fern energy. Yeah, let's see how it translates on the palate. This is pretty good. It's not going to win any awards, and besides its small fern energy, it's hard to really articulate what makes it pleasurable. I think it's a little bit on that. This just it tastes like red wine path. It has a little bit more character than just red wine. And maybe it's because the flaws that are present are turned down a little bit. You can just kind of taste a bit more of the brightness and the richness of this wine. It's hard to articulate anything particularly interesting about it, but it's pretty good. I'd say it's a C+, and I think for a wine of this quality, I'd expect to pay about 10 to 15 bucks. All right, not too bad. Let's keep this energy up and check out the second least expensive wine in the lineup. It is the $8 B by Fonbadet. Honestly, really almost nothing on the nose. You got to really, really dig in there, which is sometimes okay. It could mean that it's tense and there's something really waiting, or it could just mean it's a dud. Let's give it a taste. Okay, interesting. The nose was not entirely accurate. There's a bit of fruit in this wine. It's a bit approachable, but it still has, unfortunately, a number of flawed notes in it. Like, it has some notes of acetone, and you can tell with some wines that are, of high quality, that with air they might open up. You can taste a tension in them. This wine doesn't have that tension. It feels like all air would do would simply bloom those alcohol notes even further. So it has some fruit. I know I'm saying a lot of negative things. Honestly, it's It's pretty drinkable. It's pretty good. I'm going to give this a full C. I wouldn't pay more than $10 for this wine. I really think that would be the right spot to be. But if it's in your price range and you're trying to get into Bordeaux, this could be a good one. It'll be funny though to find out if this one is $60 or something. That would really be, pretty funny. Here we are, the final one, the cheapest Bordeaux wine you can find in a Trader Joe's. It is the $7.49 Les Portes de Bordeaux. Although it's not particularly interesting on the nose, it does feel like it has some tension in it. But let's see if that follows through. Ultimately, this is another wine that it has flaws in it. So far, very rarely is a note of acetone a pleasurable thing. It can, in the most high alcohol wines, potentially provide a little bit of a lift that can be pleasurable, but it's got to be razor thin. The margin on that is thin. In general, it really notes like a cheaper quality wine, which is a shame that this has that quality, because this is starting to kind of message like a wine of higher quality. It has both presence of fruit, but also like some secondary notes, like some heavy tannins and even some layers of tobacco. So I can't say that I like this wine, but I do think that this would be a banger. I'm going to give it a C+. I think, so around 10 to 15 bucks is what I would expect to pay for this kind of wine. So third place overall for a $7 wine. That is awesome. What a showing. It turns out that price is not an indicator of quality at Trader Joe's. All right, we've got just one final order of business to take care of before we conclude. We were really fortunate to find a wine that was really exceptional. And so we're going to honor this wine by crowning it the king of the wines. Now, so there you have it. We've crowned a bottle. It's the 2021 Chateau Tayac. Let's see how long this one lasts. Will it stand the test of time, or will it be felled by the very next tasting? Only time will tell. This would be probably a good time to consider subscribing to see how long this thing lasts. Thank you so much for watching. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you spent this time with me. Hope you have an amazing day, and hope you go kick some ass. Take care. See you soon. Bye.